Good evening and welcome to the Select Board meeting of November 14th. It is 5:30 and we will move into our 5:30 appointment with Select and Power Options in regards to the wastewater treatment plant.
Let me see if I can just make sure I get them. Let's move on to the next thing while I try to get them connected.
Okay.
I am away here.
No, you're fine. So our first agenda item is the special town meeting review of the motions. The motions for the 5 town meeting warrant articles have been written and are with town council for final review. Wait a minute, is this? Yeah. The finance committee has made its recommendations to support articles 1 through 3, and the planning board has endorsed articles 3 and 4. So I guess it's up to us to make our recommendations. We pretty much went through them all last week.
We did, yeah.
Do either of you have any questions, comments, concerns?
No, it looks like we can afford free cash.
Yes, that is great news. We did certify our free cash for the viewers at home at $397,000. No, $397,000. I transposed those two numbers, which is a high certification for the town. Obviously, a lot of credit to the finance team, in particular, Kara, our treasurer collector. She has done a remarkable job of cleaning up outstanding taxation. We've been going through the tax title process, but also just some even the smaller amounts that have gone by the wayside. So the more she fine-tunes the books, the better our financial stability is. Also, town accountant Mike Cella, who put it all together, and Pam Guyette for doing an outstanding job with keeping our assessments clean and organized. So, really pleased with that number. We'll have to talk as we get into the FY25 budget season what the best use of that money is. We would also want to talk about, because obviously we'll use 62,000 of it at your town meeting a week from yesterday.
2 weeks.
2 weeks from yesterday. But that still leaves a pretty healthy balance. So.
Yep.
Very good.
Move to recommend voter support of Articles 1 through 5 as written on the November 27th, 2023 special town meeting warrant.
I second that.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None?
So at town meeting, what's your procedure for presenting the articles to people? Who reads them aloud?
The moderator will run the meeting, and she'll ask the select board to make each motion. Typically, the chair has read the motion, but in this case, if you wanted to alternate between the three of you, actually, I think at the annual we alternated.
Yeah.
Each of you did one.
Yeah.
So many articles.
Yes, yeah. So we'll have those ready to go.
All right. Looks like we have Andreas here, so we will go back to our 5:30 select and power options for the wastewater treatment plant solar agreements. We have a presentation this evening by, is it Andreas?
Yes, hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. I apologize. I can't stay past 6 o'clock or so. Heather had just let me know about this yesterday, and I had a previous commitment, but hopefully we can get through this relatively quickly. I think the information in our proposal, our power options proposal, had been distributed to you previously, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. Have you all had a chance to review it? I guess right off the top, do you have any questions that come to mind immediately, or would you like me to go through the whole proposal from the top?
I don't think we need from the top. I think an overview perhaps of how it is that we can move forward with Select, maybe focusing more on the procurement focus of it. They've met with resident, and so they have a good idea of the project itself. But just
Okay.
maybe a quick overview of the process that you've been through in order to qualify you, so
Sure.
that we can move forward.
Absolutely. If I share my screen, will you be able to see it?
Yes, let me give you permissions.
Okay, great.
Or maybe I don't have to. Can you already share?
No, I will need permission. It says host has disabled participant screen sharing.
Well,
She does that, boy.
She's controlling.
directly controlling.
Okay, here we go. I think it is working now. Okay, can you see my screen? It should align with the proposal you have. Me sharing my screen will just allow us all to follow along a lot easier. So you can look at what I'm sharing, or you can look at your printed documents, however it's easiest for you. But let's just jump right in. I'll skip the agenda here. About Power Options. So Power Options, as you may know, is a nonprofit energy buying consortium. They were founded in 1998 by the state of Massachusetts when the energy markets deregulated back then, in order to procure power at the best possible prices in the newly deregulated market through third-party suppliers for Massachusetts public entities, particularly for towns and school districts and state entities. So Power Options was originally a state agency almost, and in 2008 they privatized, and they kept some sort of quasi-governmental privileges, and they have a lot of the same members that they started out with originally back in 1998. They have almost 500 members who are primarily municipal, public school district, and state entities like state universities and state agencies like the Mass State Police and public transportation authorities and so forth. And they procure electricity and gas for those member entities. And about 7 years ago, they started running procurements for solar projects for their members. And because of certain statutes in the Mass General Law, specifically as noted here, Mass General Law, Chapter 164, Section 137, that enables Power Options to run procurements for its public entity members that then satisfy public procurement requirements. So essentially, if you're a member of Power Options, if you become a member of Power Options prior to signing any agreement with Select, you essentially have had Power Options. As a Power Options member, Power Options has already run an RFP on your behalf. Select has responded to that RFP against 11 other qualified vendors, and based on our track record in the state with 150 other municipal and state entity projects for school districts right around you, towns right around you, state entities like the Mass State Police, Salem State University, Fitchburg State, multiple transportation authorities, PVTA, Cape Cod Transportation Authority. Select has delivered on a lot of public projects, has a great track record doing so, and you know, based on our track record and our pricing, of course, Power Options selected us as the solar provider for Power Options members. So that's why Power Options is a great option for public entities in Massachusetts that want to do solar. You don't have to run your own RFP. You don't have to put out bid specs. You don't have to hire a consultant. You just have to become a Power Options member. And Power Options, by the way, provides really great energy consulting services in general. If you become a Power Options member, you're not just getting solar without having to run an RFP, you're also getting their consulting services on energy supply, gas supply, ways to save money with energy efficiency programs that they'll help you with, ways to implement EV charging, so on. So they once you become a member, all of their services and consulting and staff are available to you, not just the solar. So does that answer your question about the procurement?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. If you want more info, I've already connected Heather with Walter Gray, who's the program manager for many years now from Power Options, who runs the solar program. And Walter can provide you with a lot more details on the enabling statutes, Mass General Law, Chapter 164, Section 137, details on how they ran their RFP, and so on. I will say that there was some question about the validity of the Power Options procurement for public entities with purchases. Previously, Select only offered power purchase agreements where we would own the system and build it at our cost and then sell the power to the host customer on a fixed per kilowatt hour basis for 20 years. That has been accepted for procurement by Power Options, by public entities as a valid means of procuring solar energy, as different from buying a solar project. But last year, Power Options confirmed with the state and with their attorneys that enabling statutes enabled power purchase agreements to be part of their procurement process for solar projects for their members. And that they could add purchases to that, and that would be valid for public entities as well. It was a new thing last year, and so it was questioned by some municipalities and school districts and public entities, attorneys, and council, when the first projects were brought up for purchase. But just recently, KP Law, who represents 40 municipalities across the state, they're probably the biggest law firm that represents municipalities in Massachusetts, vetted the Power Options procurement for solar purchases for public entities. When they reviewed Select contracts and the Power Options procurement methodology and how Power Options ran its procurement and its documents and so forth for a purchase that Williamsburg is doing. And so KP Law has vetted it and said it's good to go. So, and Power Options attorneys and other state attorneys have vetted it as well, just so you know.
Great. And KP Law is Buckland's counsel, so I've already provided them copies of this, and obviously they were enthusiastic.
Good to hear. Yeah. We worked specifically with David, I'm forgetting his last name. I can look it up if need be, but he's the attorney that specifically for KP Law represents Williamsburg. So we have the last turn on the red line draft from KP Law of our purchase agreement. You have the original. Knowing that KP Law is your counsel, we maybe can just use the once we have the final draft for Williamsburg, which we should have in the next week or two, that should make your KP Law review of that document a lot less costly and time consuming.
Yeah, for sure.
KP Law is very thorough, and we deal with them we've dealt with them on a lot of projects. So, it'll be really helpful for that template, essentially, that Williamsburg draft agreement to be done, and to be negotiated and finalized with KP Law, I would think. So that's good news.
So Andres, tonight you need a vote from the select board authorizing the chair that he will then sign on their behalf once that draft, or once that final contract is ready, and then we can move forward. Is that?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's up to you as to when you want to take that vote, I suppose, but, what some towns will do is they'll authorize whoever the designated signatory is to sign the documents once they are negotiated to the satisfaction of your council. So you don't necessarily have to wait until the document's negotiated and finalized. You could potentially vote to authorize a signatory pending the final draft as negotiated by your council.
Great.
So it's up to you as to how you want to do that. So I think Resonant Energy, Isaac and Jim have provided you with information on who Select is. And we're working on the Mohawk project and tons of other projects. I think you know about our qualifications. Power Options, again, has selected us for good reason. By the way, I've been in this industry for 15 years. I've never seen a company as good as Select for particularly commercial, especially public projects in Massachusetts. Select has the most experience by far of anybody. I in fact, 7 years ago, took a pay cut to come to Select, and I'm very happy here and don't intend to go anywhere. It's a great team of people that really know what they're doing, always trying to do the right thing. I can't say that we've never made a mistake, but I can say that when we have made a mistake, we've done everything we can to make it right at our cost. So I think that's important. Also, it's worth noting that Harvard University has used us for 30 projects thus far that are completed. They've just signed on for another 4, and they're smart people. And they're not easy to work for. We earned every bit of that. We don't have anyone at Select that went to Harvard or anything like that. We really earned all those projects. So hopefully that counts for something. Did you understand the other parts of the proposal in terms of the system design or the pro forma? Did you want me to go through any of that in this last 10 or so minutes I have?
Yeah, we had a meeting with our head operator for the wastewater treatment plant. He actually did a very good job at going through all of it last week with us.
Okay.
So I think we're pretty well versed for it.
Okay, great. Yeah, I do have that full design here. We've, I think, accounted for everything that we needed to on site with the site visit we conducted and a full engineering design review. with our construction and engineering teams and electrical teams. So, and Select, by the way, in-house, we have our own electrical engineer, 20 licensed electricians, our own engineering team, our own project managers, all of it in-house, our own construction team. So they all, all the heads of those departments took a look at this, and I think we've got a good plan that we can execute on. I know we do. There's one remaining question I think that you might be aware of. We were wondering if we could put conduit, or Dan was wondering if we could put conduit in this area around the back of the greenhouse to connect the array by the entrance to these arrays over here above or past the greenhouse with below-grade conduit and run a trench back here. We have, in our pricing, accounted for above-grade conduit because we were worried that there's so much stuff underground here on this site that we didn't want to hit anything. Plus, it's a tight area to be trenching. So we've just accounted for rigid ballast conduit going around the corner here and then connecting the two arrays here. In order to determine if we can go below grade and what the cost of that might be, if any change were necessary to that pricing, we need more information about what is underground here. And Dan thought he could provide some plans that would provide the subgrade utilities, conduits, piping, things like that might exist below grade, but we haven't gotten that yet. So for now, we're just sticking with the above grade conduit plan. So just know that there might be an option for below grade conduit, and that might change the price slightly, but we don't have all the information we need to vet that option.
We're still working on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can work with you as that comes up.
Yep.
If we are going to dig, it's going to be hard to do that in the winter anyway. But the first order of business is to, as soon as we can, execute the agreement, preferably in the next 2 to 3 weeks, because we are up against the deadline for the better incentive in Massachusetts. Applications for incentives received by the Department of Energy Resources after December 29th will have a much lower incentive value by about 3 cents lower per kilowatt hour. So we're hoping we can, to provide you guys with the best possible economics and the best incentive revenue, we're hoping we can get this incentive application in by December 29th. And our team has seen a lot of volume right now, our regulatory team who submits these applications on behalf of our customers. So, we'd like to make sure that we have a signed agreement and that we therefore have the ability, the documents necessary to submit that incentive application on your behalf by December 29th. And of course, there's holidays in there, and we're dealing with a high volume of those applications that we have to submit in the next 4 to 6 weeks. So just please be aware of that. Hopefully we can expedite this with the Williamsburg contract already negotiated by KP Law. And you'll have an executable document pretty quickly.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Any questions on the pro forma, this financial model? It's a 25-year financial model. Relative to other financial models, yours is pretty simplified because you have no tax implications. You have grants and and a federal tax credit that you can get a cash grant for under the Inflation Reduction Act that are covering the system cost. So really, you're just looking at electric bill savings and incentive revenue. The insurance implications are what we have in this line item for insurance here is just a placeholder. And I mentioned that in an email to you all that hopefully you saw, explaining that insurance line item is not the actual insurance cost. It's not something you pay to Select. It's between you and your insurance provider for the site. You'll want to insure that system just like you insure any equipment that the town owns. And then the Select O&M cost line item just below that. Select provides operations and maintenance, which I think is a requirement of any ground-mounted system in Buckland. You guys want to see that any system that's installed, any commercial system that's installed in Buckland has an operations and maintenance plan. Our operations and maintenance plan is very thorough. We have a team of 30 people that do operations and maintenance exclusively on a daily basis. When you're on our operations and maintenance plan, which 99% of our customers who own their systems renew for annually, we monitor the system actively on a daily basis. If anything happens, we respond within 24 to 48 hours and figure out what's wrong and fix it. Typically, if anything goes wrong, it's an inverter, which is the active part of the system that changes the DC power to AC. In this case, we're using Chint inverters. They're warranted for 12 years. Sometimes inverters do fail. The inverters we choose to use have low failure rates for the industry, in terms of industry standards. But occasionally, when you start running power through power electronics for the first time at peak capacity, you'll have a failure. So we watch for that very closely in the first year, which is typically when you see any failure happen, if it's going to happen. So we include that monitoring and maintenance and so forth, warranty, repair work for free in the first year, as you see here in that first year of the line item. We're watching the system closely. We see anything happen, 24 to 48 hours, we come out, we figure out what's wrong, we arrange for warranty fix as quickly as possible. And we also arrange for annual preventive maintenance and inspections. So in order to keep the system safe and productive, you want to do an annual inspection and do any preventive maintenance that might be required on the inverter. So we schedule that annually. And that's what's included in this line item starting in year 2. So for a couple $1,000s a year, we'll monitor the system. Our analysts will keep tabs on it 24/7. If anything happens, we're on top of it, and we'll schedule the annual preventive maintenance and inspections and essentially recommission the system on an annual basis. So that's what's built into that cost. That assumes inflation of 3% annually on that renewal. In year 15, that year in that line item, the O&M line item, is highlighted because it includes the inverter replacement cost. So there's 2 inverters in this system. You might not have to replace both of them in that same year. The inverters are warranted for 12 years. We assume that they'll have to be replaced sometime after year 12, maybe one in year 13 and one in year 17. But for you to see easily what that cost of replacement is, we've put it all in year 15. So it's about $6,000 to replace the inverters with the equipment and labor included. And so whenever each inverter starts losing efficiency and needs to be replaced, and we see that in our monitoring of the system, we'll let you know. And if you're ready to replace the inverters, we'll give you an estimate for that at that time. and we'll replace the inverters. But, so you can clearly see what that inverter replacement cost is and that it's built into the economics. We include it there in year 15.
So that may not even be an issue then if, say, if we have to replace them at year 11. They'd still be under warranty, so we wouldn't end up having that additional cost at that point.
Exactly, and then you'd have new or repaired inverters that would hopefully last another 11 or more years. But yeah, typically we see the inverters that we usually install, we see them lasting, yeah, more than their warranty period. But if they're failing under warranty, we're replacing them quickly. You know, we have something like a 2% failure rate on inverters, and usually if they're failing, like I mentioned, in the first month or two. Any problems that come up quickly with inverters. Now the other potential with the ground mount is that something hits the system. You know, up on a roof, it's less likely. But with a ground mount that's close to the entrance of the facility, you know, you never know. A car driving by could kick up a rock, not likely, you know, or a vehicle could back into the system and damage a panel, and that might need to be replaced, and that would be covered by insurance, not by warranty, just so you know. Good reason to have a good insurance policy covering the system. So we're at 6 o'clock. I do need to go shortly here, but any other questions right now?
No, I think we're good.
Okay, great. If you have any follow-up questions that come up in your discussions, or any questions about next steps with KP Law or what have you, Heather has my email address, and you know, shoot me an email, and I'll address it quickly. But if you're going to approve a signatory to sign off on the contract, we should engage with KP Law as soon as possible and start that negotiation with them. And again, hopefully they can just use the Williamsburg contract as a template.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much, Andreas. We really appreciate the time.
Yeah, my pleasure. Good to see you all. Sorry I couldn't be there in person, but hopefully we'll get to meet in person at some point soon.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
Have a good night.
You
Bye.
too.
I have one question, because I came kind of, this was in motion before I came on the board. How are we paying for this?
Oh, we have a GAP 3 grant through the Department of Environmental Protection. The grant is for $186,000. You'll know that the contract price for Select is $194.
Right.
So that seems out of balance, but we're factoring in the energy rebates and credits that we'll be receiving, that will bring us in just under the 186 by the time we're done. So, yes, this was a really, really good grant. And keeping in mind that our energy costs at the wastewater treatment facility run about between $1,900 and $2,300 a month for electricity use at that plant. So this is a tremendous cost savings for the users of that system.
I believe it will be,
Yeah, it really will be, yeah.
Did you apply for that grant?
Yes, yeah.
Good work.
Yeah. Well, myself and the wastewater treatment team. Yeah.
Okay.
Group efforts.
Good.
Group efforts. So,
All right,
all right.
anything further?
Do you want to take a vote to authorize Clint to sign that contract when it's ready, or do you want me to bring it back to you at that time?
And we're not meeting for, when's our next meeting?
The day after.
Well, I'd like to make a motion, that we do that. We'll move to authorize the chair to electronically sign the Select Power Options purchase proposal and the Power Options membership commitment on behalf of the board.
Fantastic.
So I say so moved?
We'll do a second.
I second it, okay.
All right. Any further discussion? Bearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none? Back to our agenda items. We have a couple of committee appointments for the Cultural Council. We have Carmela Lanza Wheel and John Quigley. I see Carmela's in here, I didn't see.
I don't have Mr. Quigley's.
Okay.
We had asked Cindy Fisher, who's the current chair of the Cultural Council, to forward that to us. She must not have seen the email, so I can follow up.
His name's not Robert? He's a friend of ours. He just moved to town.
Do we have it incorrectly on the agenda?
I have
Yep.
John.
You have John here.
Okay, so Alicia added it on the Friday, so we can confirm.
Unless that's his secret first name.
Yeah, well, we do have a number of people that use not their legal name,
Mm-hmm.
so,
Well, it's his legal name, but I was known as Robert. I know who he is, so,
okay. We will confirm.
okay.
Call him Mr. Quigley.
Mr. Quigley,
Mr.
Quigley
Quigley.
down on.
first name TBD.
Yeah, right.
Do we want to wait on, do we want to table his?
Yes,
Or
I think we should.
okay, so we'll table his to the next meeting, and we should have the documents there. I will make a motion to appoint Carmela Lanza Wheel to the Cultural Council.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? None, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none?
I mean, I think if it's the person I'm talking about, it'd be great, but I think we need an application.
Well, it sounds like they have one, it just hasn't
Yeah.
gotten to our desk yet, so. All right. Contract and grant documents, Mass DOT 100% agreement contract for North Street construction project.
So this is the agreement that we will sign with Mass DOT that basically says that should the project cost increase above and beyond 110% of what they went out to bid with, and you have all of those calculations there in front of you, that the town of Buckland has some responsibility for those costs. But they are committed to 110% of the project cost. So, this is a standard contract. It's an awful lot of money for 400 linear feet of road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
certainly is.
It certainly is.
But it's the main way.
It is the main way, and we're getting a significant amount of drainage, new sidewalk, and obviously the full depth reconstruction. So it's a good project, and would look for a motion to approve the contract. This is sort of the final piece of the puzzle. They've gone out to bid. The bid was awarded to Balthazar Contracting, which is the same company that has been doing the work on Conway Street. And we've also received notification that the engineering team from Mass DOT will follow this project. As we know, there are some complications still on the Conway Street project, so it made sense for the engineers to stay in place from Mass DOT so they can continue to oversee Conway next year and be in town for the North Street project. And I understand that Balthazar bid very competitively in order to be able to get this job so they could keep their teams in town as well. I know that there's a lot of curiosity and questions about when the sidewalk and monument slab wall will be fixed on Conway Street. My understanding from speaking with DOT today is that it is in front of Boston. The contract price, the change order that Balthazar presented to Mass DOT for that work exceeded $3 million. And Mass DOT is looking to re-engineer that in order to get that price down a little bit. So that's where that project stands. I do not think we'll see construction this year. I think we'll see it. They won't pour concrete this late in the season.
Right.
So, they are aware of the complications it proposes for snow removal, and I know that DOT is going to work with the town as much as possible to help keep that open and passable for residents.
Okay. We'll move to approve and sign the Mass Dot 110% agreement.
Second that.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Buckland Historical Society for a draft lease agreement.
So this I'd like you to sort of take under advisement. I'm not looking for a signature today. I've been working with Carol Bolduc, is a real estate agent with Pueblo, and she is also on the Historical Society. She has a profound amount of knowledge about both subjects and has been a very good resource to me as we've been putting this together. As a reminder, the reason that we're looking to pursue this is that it makes the town and the Historical Society eligible for grants in order to be able to make capital and physical improvements to the museum building located at 20 Upper Street. Right now, neither party is eligible for this grant work. So if we are able to enter into a long-term lease, we might be able to get some of the work that building desperately needs done. But we want to make sure that the agreement works for both parties. And so I'd like you to maybe take a look at the original and see Carol's comments and questions, and then we'll take your comments and questions and then send it to a larger group at the Historical Society for their review, and hopefully get something in place by the end of the calendar year.
Okay.
So,
No voting on any
those
of that
Bolduc,
tonight.
they're very, very helpful.
You're all very savvy.
Yes.
Permits and licenses, we have a town hall use permit, the Friends of Buckland Rec for November 24th, which would be the Moonlight Magic Night. Wanting to use the upstairs hall again. I think they had a fantastic setup last year. I did make my way through, but with those ladies, I mean, it's,
It was very good.
Yeah.
We got through it, yeah.
they're always over the top.
Yeah.
This room won't be used, right?
No, not this room, it would
Just up
be
there.
the main,
I know, just,
main hall. Alright. I would move to accept the town hall use permit for the Friends of Buckland Rec.
I'll second that.
Further discussion?
And it says here, just, you'll know, well, you already know that, it's, since it's the use of town property is requested because, but they're also help the town, so.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none? Meetings and warrants, we have nothing tonight. Items not reasonably anticipated by the chair, I have nothing. Any select board member concerns?
well, it's not a concern, but I wanted to do a couple of updates here. Tomorrow I'm meeting with Ann Goby, who is the State Director of Rural Affairs. I think originally Heather was going to do it, was supposed to be today, but somehow it became on Wednesday instead.
Yeah, I think it was one of those, we had the right day of the week, but the wrong date, the wrong, anyways. So it is tomorrow at 2 o'clock.
Well, no, she's coming, we're meeting at 3:30.
Oh, okay.
So, she's meeting over in the Shelburne sign at 2 o'clock, and then she's going to meet me in front of Town Hall at 3:30, and I'm going to do a walking tour. I'm going to take her so that she can see the mill. Could just peek into the window of the old police station, but just so she gets a feel for the, Buckland side.
Yeah, some of our properties that are in flux.
Yes. So, let's see, and then on Tuesday, November 21st, Andrew Baker and I are doing a Zoomy thing with this consulting firm for the Rural Downtown District Grant Project, and they want, I think, they got this big grant for these 3 communities. Originally, Greenfield was going to be part of it, but it's for Northfield, Turner's Falls, part of Montague, and Shelburne Falls. And they want to know what ideas we would want. I met with Andrew Sunday at the library, and he was saying how important it is for us to have people to know about us through a website. I know that there's other things going on about that, but do you have any suggestions that I can bring forward in this meeting? What we need to, for our rural district downtown?
I don't have anything really at this point.
Restrooms?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. That's definitely been a hot ticket item for years now.
And also, I don't know, I think that there's not enough signs on what's on our end of the bridge. I mean, people come to our village and they just go on the Shelburne side. They don't even know if the mill exists. They don't know what we have over here,
There's signs right over there at the corner, though, that point to the mill and say it, but I don't think they know what the mill is. That's something that should be on we're talking about a website to look. Would be a good thing to put on a website, Just reading it, that may happen, I've heard, but...
Well, I'm going to suggest to them that they come, this consulting firm from Northampton, come here and we do a walking tour.
That would be great.
Now, Andrew has been communicating with them, and he said, well, someone came to an in-person meeting here, but I want us to take them around. I want to come on a day, probably, mid-afternoon or something like that, and take them around. That's what I'm going to suggest. I want them to see that, Northfield has its, issues, but they don't even have a restaurant. It's a totally different kind of community than ours. And, Turner's Falls actually has some pretty large stores, I love their theater, but, they're really 3 distinct places. I mean, there's something we might have in common, but my concern is that they think there's one solution that fits all 3, But my suggestion is that they come and we give them a tour, a walking tour. And what was the other thing I had here? Okay, so I don't know if you signed up for the two-town newsletter that we've been, that somehow somehow involved in. And, that's a place that, it's growing slowly, they're taking their time about growing. So my thing is it should be sustainable. But this is a good place for us to put, any kind of news or any kind of upcoming events on. I don't know, did you sign up for it?
I did read the first edition.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was, I think you guys did a fantastic job with it. And I wasn't quite sure on the whole sign-up process, I guess. I would say, was it just forwarding our email to them to be added in?
Mm-hmm.
That I wasn't sure on because I had already gotten the email, so I didn't know if I was already on the list.
I think
That's where my confusion was.
Oh, okay, I think they just sent out what I like Buckland, on the other side, the board members there, they don't have official emails.
Yep.
And so I gave them what's on our website, what our official emails were. So they just automatically sent it to you to see if you wanted to be a part of it.
Okay, so we just actually have to respond back.
Yeah, just respond
Okay.
back, and if you want to send anything, I mean, there is a deadline, I think it's the 21st, just because of the holiday this year, this edition coming up. I'm copy editing, I don't really, Tricia did a really great job of doing the layout, and it was very clean. There's a lot of people stepping forward to want to volunteer and all this, that's great, but I said, let's just keep doing what we're doing right now until after the holidays, and we'll adjust, but
Do you maybe want to throw for people watching out there, if they wanted to sign up for this, who would they have to email?
oh, good question. If you want to sign up, it's called shellbucknews, one word, @gmail.com, and you can send listings that way, 200-word max. And if you want to sign up so you get the newsletter, it's the same email. So again, it's shellbucknews, SCHELBUCK news @gmail.com. That's all I have to say.
All right, Larry, do you have anything?
No, I don't.
Town Administrator's Report.
I have a couple of quick items for you this afternoon. The first is that Larry and Joan both attended this afternoon, but joined staff for Narcan training. And Narcan is the opiate overdose reversal treatment that is often administered by first responders, but there's a real push to have it available because of its ease of use and its effectiveness, to have it available in a more public manner. So we've been contacted by an organization out of Athol, Mass. That is called Connect, that is distributing boxes of the Narcan to public spaces, including town halls. So we are going to be putting one downstairs in the town hall for access to the public. Also, obviously staff would have access to it should we ever need to. Unfortunately, opiate abuse and overdose is becoming a problem even up here in the hill towns. So better to be prepared, and I appreciate everybody that came and took the training. We had a couple of staff from Shelburne that came over. They'll have a box as well. I think it was a really good amount of information. It wasn't too much, so this is something that, like CPR and choking, it's something that we can make a difference. So I'm very proud of my staff for initiating this and making that happen. There's been a lot of communication on Facebook as of late regarding the closure or the continued closure at the Buckland Rec. I would like to take a second to offer some additional information about that than what's already been posted, and certainly welcome your thoughts as a board. But while the contractor is up there and still working, the town has a contract with that contractor that says that we will keep that site closed. It's a liability issue for the contractor, as well as a liability issue for the town. We do have a builder's risk policy that continues to be in place. We've paid a good amount of money for that builder's risk policy. There's absolutely no reason that anybody from the public has to be on that property at this point. And I know it's controversial. I know it's disappointing. But that is just the way that it has to be. There's also been some conversation about parking out on the road side of the gate. Mass DOT a year or so ago did post 112 in that vicinity for no parking, and parking in front of the gate. You're essentially parking in a fire lane. If emergency vehicles had to access that property for whatever reason, and there's cars parked in front of it, we have a problem. So please be considerate. Please do not park on the road. Please do not park in front of the gates. The rec would normally have closed November 1st anyway. We've traditionally closed it because we don't plow. We turn the water off. The pavilion is closed. We simply don't maintain that facility after the days get shorter, after the daylight savings time. We will open in the spring, and again, if you have questions, please contact the town hall. Try not to do it on Facebook or other social media. It just seems to be counterproductive and gets a lot of misinformation out there, like parking in front of the gates.
I think there were just people, because I've heard it too, the idea that they couldn't go in and use the play structure. But as long as as long as the contractor, he actually has ownership of all that section. And I think that's what the townspeople don't realize, but will it eventually be, as the pool closes for the evening, that they can still bring their kids and go to the play structure? Because is the pool able to be locked totally off?
So I know that the rec committee will be talking about the hours and schedule for 2024. They'll have regular meetings and have that discussion at that time. Again, once daylight savings time comes, even before we had the pool there, that facility has not been open to the public. Granted, there's time after the pool closes on Labor Day and before daylight savings or before November, where there would be time where that play structure would be available, but there's no commitment to it being open all winter.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I just really want to just stress that parking in front of that gate is just even more dangerous than being on that property. If emergency vehicles had access that, and there's a bunch of cars there, we have,
I think when the pool is all done and the contractor signs off, in other words, he's done right there, it becomes our situation, and I think you're going to see that lesson if they can get in there and use the play structure and things. It's just, sorry, whoever's listening, but one or two people get it in their mind and gets on social media, and it mushrooms like, it's the biggest thing in the world, and
It was unfortunate that people felt that they had been, I believe that the phrase used was duped.
Yes.
That they had been duped by the pool building committee has worked so hard and so diligently on that project, and I think has represented the town extremely well, making sure that we have a first class product that comes out of this, so that it's something that's available to the town for decades to come. So, please be careful when you think about what you're going to type on Facebook, because there are really hardworking, very sincere people behind that project that don't deserve that.
And in defense of the public too, the idea they probably didn't realize this. We've said it tonight, it still belongs to the contractor, and if they don't hear that stuff, then someone says something, and how come it shut down? I would, yes.
So the Buckland Rec administrators on that page have posted this information. Yeah.
Okay.
But,
I know.
you can only, yesterday's news, right? You might as well wrap it in.
I think it'll be better next year. The pool should be all done, going, and it should be open on time and everything else. I think it's going to be a back issue, so.
Do we have any time frame on the contractors?
Well, they're going to be filling the pool this weekend, we hope. So water will be back in the pool, and then they'll do their finishing touches and hopefully be out of there. The problem is that you also now have a solar project that's going to be starting right after that. I know that the pool committee will be working with the solar company to maybe better define space, and we'll see. But again, it is after November. The Buckland Rec would not be open now anyway. But I know that they're sensitive to this issue, and we'll have that conversation. So, yeah. Anyway, moving on. We are still looking for a boards clerk. That is a very part-time position, approximately 16 hours a month. Some weeks are going to be busier than others. It really depends on when the 4 permitting boards meet. They do traditionally meet just once a month.
Which boards are involved?
Planning board, zoning board, conservation, and the Board of Health.
Do you want me
It's
to
a-
post something on that Facebook page?
That'd be
showing-
great.
Oh, this Sheldon follows it on that
Yep,
show.
yep. We pay $16.50 an hour. It is an excellent sort of less than part-time gig. Something that if somebody was interested in getting involved with the town and learning more about their municipality, and just wanted to make a little extra money. Some of the boards are still meeting by Zoom, some are meeting in person, so there's a large amount of flexibility. It's a really good opportunity to get involved. So hopefully somebody could be interested.
I'll put Alicia as the contact since you're going to be away.
Yeah, perfect.
And do you want me to put it in the two-town news or that?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay,
That'd be
do
great.
that.
The Mohawk Trail Regional School will be hosting State Representative Denise Garlick. She is the House Chair of the Joint Education Committee. Natalie Blay will be coming out with her. The school district is asking that one representative from
I'm
both
going
the select
anyway,
board.
so,
Oh, okay.
it's like I
There you go.
covered it.
There you go. You're all set.
Yeah.
Larry's in. So I was
Yeah.
going to ask you to nominate a representative. It sounds like Larry's
Well,
already.
that's one of my assignments anyway.
We were going to
Trying-
nominate you.
Yeah.
anyway.
Trying to keep up real
You get a
quick.
lunch out of it too, Larry.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually.
Working lunch.
Yeah, working lunch.
No nap lunch.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Paula from the Finance Committee
is.
will be joining you, so
Yes.
that'll be great.
Yeah.
Just 2 more quick items. One is for those of you that are participating in the Municipal Electric Aggregation Program, this is where you are receiving a discount, if you will, on your electric bill for participating in the municipal aggregation. The FY24 rates have been set. The board actually voted on them a few months ago. They've been through DPU and approved. I'll be posting the details of that on the website. I'll send it out as a news and notice, and also link it to the Buckland Energy Committee page. So for those, anybody that's already enrolled in the program will be getting a postcard in the mail that gives them the new rates. So lots of opportunity to see that information, and if you are not participating but would like to be participating, there is information on the Town of Buckland's Energy Committee website or webpage, how to sign up.
See, something like that would be good for the newsletter.
Yep. And it's really news for both towns, because both Buckland and Shelburne participate.
The postcards haven't gone out yet, though,
No.
right? No.
And then lastly, every year we have our landfill, the wells get tested for possible contamination, and then we have a third-party inspection. Both of those happen in the fall. Both have recently happened. We passed the inspection very well. It's a sort of a visual. The inspector goes and makes sure that there are no deteriorating areas with the cap, and just make sure that everything looks okay. The testing of the wellheads is a little bit more involved. We did test very high or over the allowable limits for one chemical. It's called the 1,4 dioxane. It is a product that is one of the forever chemicals that is typically found in cosmetics and laundry detergent, shower gels, Tide, Gain, Draft. There's a lot of products that have this. Obviously, it would have pre-existed in the soil pre-cap, but it is now showing up in those wells. So we're retesting to validate that information. We will have to report to DEP and EPA, and then we'll get some instructions and some further information from there. So I will keep you all posted. There is only one well that is off-site from the town landfill area. It is just below on Upper Street at the corner of Hodgson Road and Upper. Unfortunately, the current owner of that property has not allowed the town's testing company to access that property or that well for many years. So we are unable to determine whether or not this same level of contamination is existing in that particular well. But they get notified of the results, and they get notified of the testing opportunity. So
Most of that contamination came because before they just buried everything there. Now all the containers that you mentioned there, of all those things, are part of a recycle program. So, you know what I'm saying, as far as it's really, that's ancient problems coming up now.
Oh, absolutely. But it is an ancient problem that we'll have to deal with.
Yeah, I don't know how. I mean, it's one of
Yeah. Neither am I.
Okay.
But I have spent a fair amount of time on the Google, trying to learn what I can about this chemical.
Don't you worry, I'm sure the EPA will have many suggestions for us.
Yes, many.
Yeah.
So that's all I have. I've got, and good news and then some not so good news.
Is that it?
I think
You went a couple past what you had on your list.
I
so.
did. But I also want to just really quickly give a, for volunteer recognition.
We're not there yet.
Okay.
We're on the town administrator's report, not volunteer
Okay,
recognition.
all right, I'll wait.
Maybe I had something for
Okay,
volunteer recognition.
all right. I have a good one, though, a really, really good one.
Maybe I do too.
Okay,
Maybe they're the same.
maybe they are.
This is getting personal.
Do we have any public comment?
Do you have
None.
any public?
Volunteer recognition.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go
Okay,
first.
okay.
I am going to throw a shout out to all of our volunteers that put up all the lights around town this past weekend. I think they did a fantastic job. I know it was the Donalos. I think Palmieri Electric donated his bucket truck that they utilized. And Ed, God, drawing a blank. Big Ed.
Big Ed.
Yes.
Thank you, Big Ed.
I can't think of his last name, Mary. Why don't you? Why don't you just keep rubbing it in?
Just put them Big Ed. He'll know.
Give me time. I'll think of it. Go ahead, Heather.
So that is mostly what I was going to say, yes. Nick and I did, every year, he guilts me into helping. We did the lights that went along the river walk last night. That's always a fun project, and
Ed Young.
Ed Young.
I told you just had to give me a minute.
But I would like to acknowledge Kay Aaliyah, who put up the, Kay Casafara, who put up the, I always trip on which last name. I'm sorry, Kay. Who did the alley. She did the signs that say Buckland Picnic Area, all welcome.
Nice.
She put so much time and effort into those signs, and they're just beautiful, and has really made that's the finishing touch that has really made that place so much more special than the alley that it was a year or so ago. And then the town hall staff did the ornaments. So just, they're not necessarily volunteers, but they did do that above and beyond their regular day.
Excellent.
Yeah. Everybody has got the Christmas spirit.
Wow, humbug.
except for Larry.
It's not Thanksgiving yet, so.
That and
Really?
we had Roger Purrington from the highway department come down and give a few minutes until we had to ask him to go back to the highway garage because he was so bah humbug. But we encouraged him to
That's
go
because I
back.
had him in school, so you
Yeah,
probably taught him
yeah,
well.
you-
Poor guy.
Both ways.
Well, no, I wasn't thinking of that. I was thinking that they forced him to come down here so they
Okay.
could try to bring cheer to
Anything else?
get him a turkey. He'll be happy.
good plan.
All right. Announcements and upcoming meetings. November 27th, we have our special town meeting that will take place here at the town hall at 7? 6.
The town meeting is at 7.
7 o'clock. 7 p.m. here upstairs in the town hall. And then November 28th, because we're gluttons for punishment, we'll be back here for another select board meeting at 5:30. Anything further? I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All right. Further discussion? Bearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Thank you and have a good evening.